Tonight, families encouraged to get their children vaccinated in far west New South Wales, and extended phone and internet coverage on its way for Whyalla residents.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with Ruby Kamane begins now.
Good evening. Marie-Ma Health is rolling out vaccinations for children aged 5 to 11 in Broken Hill and Whyalla. Health professionals are encouraging parents to take up the opportunities, aiming to vaccinate around 300 children.
The Marie-Ma jab rollout spreading across the far west, starting in Broken Hill on January 19th and still available for residents. Now moving to the Whyalla clinic opening yesterday, encouraging families to bring in their children.
So overall we've got about 300 kids to do between Whyalla and Broken Hill. In Broken Hill so far we've only done about just over 50.
So far the vaccinations have gone well, with no tears coming from most of the children. Both clinics running with 2 teams until they have vaccinated the majority of children.
We could run, up to 2 months. It doesn't really matter because it's a part of what we do anyway. But as long as we get the bulk of children with their vaccine, that's the aim of it.
The Broken Hill clinic is open from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Parents can book an appointment by calling the vaccination clinic, but walk-ins are also accepted. The clinic, located at 428 Argent Street.
And if they've got any questions, please talk to your health professionals so we can allay any fears you might have, answer any questions that you may have, so we can make sure this important vaccine get done.
Joshua Mercer, 7 Spencer Golf News.
An independent candidate for Narungga is calling an emergency meeting to address the current healthcare crisis in the region. Diana Walter says if elected, more paramedics and GPs will be hired under better conditions to help ease the pressure of the current staff.
Staff shortages and terrible working conditions. Independent candidate Diana Walter says she is committed to solving the healthcare crisis in the seat of Narungga as her #1 election priority. Doctors, paramedics and members of the community coming along to voice their concerns and needs to save the system said to be at breaking point.
In regions, certainly the shortages of paramedic staff and we rely heavily on volunteers. So what we are hoping to do is to raise the profile of our paramedic community here.
Paramedics speaking about the rough conditions faced every day, saying they need more bodies on the ground due to being overworked to extreme measures with no work-life balance.
They're exhausted, they're fatigued, and they're putting their lives at risk trying to save ours.
Diana believing a hung parliament is a likely possibility, which could give her seat the upper hand if she is the deciding vote.
And what that means is that I could have the capacity to negotiate with the government to make a decision about who actually forms government. And I'll go back to the community to ensure that their voices are heard.
Dr. Rod Pearce wants better services and support for local GPs, saying locums are paid more than GPs who live in the region.
They'll fly people in who know nothing about the area, pay them twice as much as the local GPs. So that inequity means that GPs aren't supported to continue looking after the region that they love.
Christian Komenos, 7 Spencer Golf News.
A 2-car crash halted traffic on the Port Lincoln Highway this morning. At around 8:15, emergency crews responded to the incident. 3 MFS trucks were called and 8 firefighters cleaned up the debris. Traffic was banked up, with transporting trucks having to hold on the side of the road. One of the drivers involved was taken to hospital with minor injuries. Optus has switched on a new cell tower just outside of Port Augusta, aiming to improve coverage, reliability and speed across the area. The new infrastructure, part of the federal government's mobile black spot program.
Homes surrounding the Augusta highway are beacon for black spots, but a macro cell site is aiming to fix this. Optus building a cell tower in Whyalla, providing coverage for 179 square kilometres, including the 24-kilometre major railway adjacent to the site.
Fully self-contained mobile site. There's battery backups in behind it. There's multiple feeds to enable it to handle loads and increase, decrease as demand should see fit.
The tower also offering enhanced mobile coverage to 63 properties in the local area.
For not only the people on the transport corridors, but for people living in the community, visitors to the community, residents, businesses, everybody.
The extended coverage part of the federal government's mobile black spot program, with the new tower just one of more than 1,200 new mobile base stations funded. 66 of these towers have been built in South Australia.
Welcome the relationships and support that we receive from not just federal but state and local governments as well, to make sure that infrastructure of this kind makes its way to the communities where it's needed most.
Member for Grey Rowan Ramsey says the local community will now feel the economic and schooling benefits fast internet provides. Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Still to come tonight, millions of dollars set for businesses across the Spencer Gulf. And South Australians potentially to pay more for a pint of beer. We'll be back soon. Welcome back. Port Lincoln Police is investigating the reported theft of a child's motorcycle. Police say thieves took a KTM 50 motorcycle from the back end of a house on Whyalla Road between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. last Friday. Anyone with information about the whereabouts of the motorcycle is asked to call Crime Stoppers. Funds from a new grant aimed at helping local businesses through the pandemic are now starting to arrive in bank accounts. More than $20 million was set aside for the scheme, targeted at tourism, hospitality, gyms and businesses experiencing hardship. The government says 2,100 tourism and hospitality businesses will receive payments totalling close to $14 million. Around 2,000 businesses undergoing hardship received payments totalling $9 million. The operators of Whyalla's Fitzgerald Bay Kingfish Farm held an online forum to update the community on their operations. Clean Seas opened the controversial farm last year, following the final approval from City Council.
It's an opportunity for residents in the Upper Spencer Gulf to be briefed on the progress of a new industry. The Clean Seas CEO providing an update on how the Fitzgerald Bay farm is progressing in an online forum last night.
I took the residents through a bit of a business update in terms of where we are with the operations there at Fitzgerald Bay. So I was able to let the residents know that we're now up to 22 staff.
Whyalla City Council figures revealing the farm spending close to $250,000 per month. Mr. Grattan telling residents during the meeting about the company's commitment to using local contractors and suppliers.
I think the residents and hopefully the broader community are starting to see some of those, genuine economic benefits of bringing a new industry to Whyalla, can derive.
Plans to also repair the Point Lowly boat ramp also continuing, which Clean Seas says will benefit recreational users. In addition, all juvenile fish are in their pens and no further fish transfers will occur until next year.
And so all of the current cohort of fish are now in the water. There'll be no more fish, going in now until September 2023.
Mark Zita, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Local beer drinkers may have to dig a little deeper into their pockets this month. The price of beer now expected to increase across the country, with the ATO raising the cost in order to keep up with inflation.
The liquid gold beverage living up to its name. Australian beer drinkers will now pay more tax on their next pint.
Producers are going to pay around $40 to $43 excise tax on the average commercial keg. Doesn't sound like a lot, but when the average keg costs $150, they're going to pay about 1/3 of the price to this excise duty tax.
According to CROQUET data, beer tax nets the federal government around $3.6 billion a year. The inflation's set to impact pub operations.
Unfortunately, the pubs are kind of a rock in a hard place at the moment, either to pass on the price onto the consumers so they offload the cost, or they absorb it themselves. And as we know, they've had lengthy lockdowns, staffing issues, supply chain shortages.
Australia is leading the charge for the price of beer, outpaying other beer drinking countries.
Whereas in Australia, we've only seen it go up over the past 2 years and over time indeed. Australians pay 17 times more tax than the average beer drinker in Germany.
Data suggesting the price of beer may be related to the decrease in alcohol consumption.
Alcohol consumption has actually gone down over time, so it's interesting to see that the ATO is still going to boost up the prices despite alcohol and beer consumption going down over time.
Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us after the break. Whyalla's library adapts to COVID-19 to keep residents reading. and creative older locals soon to display their artwork in Port Lincoln. Hello again. Book lovers in Whyalla have been given an additional way of picking up their novels from the city's public library. New measures are now operating for library members in response to the continuing COVID-19 pandemic.
Making it easier for Whyalla bookworms to keep on reading despite a global pandemic. The ability to click and collect your favourite books online, now available at the Whyalla Public Library.
Usually you place a hold, it gets here and is basically shelved for you to usually walk in and pick it up, but now staff will actually take it out to you.
To meet demand, library staff now taking books to you while you wait in the car park. During the height of the pandemic, the library has seen a large increase in residents checking out books via the internet.
We've had to restrict using social distancing, mask wearing and such, and we've now actually made a provide for BorrowBox and Libby, which are basically both apps.
Despite the availability of the internet for information, public libraries remain a vital service in regional communities. Whyalla's public library offering holiday activities and computer access to those who don't have one on their own.
We also provide Storytime and Google Pots, which is for young kids. And also during the public holidays, we also have school holiday programs, which are run as well.
More information can be found on the public library's website. Mark Zita, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
The countdown is on for Broken Hill's biggest sporting and social event of the year. The St Pat's Races is only 4 weeks away, with its office doors officially opening yesterday with a ribbon cutting.
Excitement is in the air. 1 month out from the much anticipated annual race day. Broken Hill's Mayor Tom Kennedy and Deputy Mayor Jim Hickey, along with life patron Steve Radford, on hand to cut the ribbon at St Pat's headquarters.
St Pat's is the biggest event for the calendar for Broken Hill. It's always exciting. We get a lot of people from away. People come back that once lived in Broken Hill.
Before the doors had even opened, plenty of bookings and inquiries were pouring in, with one site already sold out due to high demand. This year's event promising a more relaxed atmosphere, with racegoers not expected to wear face masks or use QR codes. While there won't be a cap on attendance figures like last year, the Mayor says even he will be able to enjoy himself.
Have been invited to different things officially as the Mayor, now patron of the St Pat's, which is exciting for me.
Broken Hill Community Credit, Lion and a Foundation Broken Hill, providing the race club with major financial and in-kind support. The office is open Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m, in the lead up to race day on March 12th.
I think that it's going to be a really big year. I think it'll be one of the best, most exciting St Pat's we've had for a long, long time.
Joshua Mercer, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
A new festival is set to land on the Copper Coast this May. Promising to showcase food, lights, art and music, the Flame Festival will be held from May 27th to the 29th and will stretch across all 3 main towns on the Copper Coast, thanks to funding secured back in 2020. The new edition on the calendar will be placed in the alternate years to the Kernowick Lowender Festival, held every second year. Senior artists over the age of 65 will be able to soon showcase their talents in Port Lincoln. Retire Australia, now preparing to present its inaugural Seniors Art Exhibition for all senior Spencer Gulf creatives to take part.
It's never too late to start something new. Older artists given the chance to display their work. With the Lincoln Grove Retirement Village sponsoring the next Seniors Art Exhibition in the Rotary Gallery at the popular Nautilus Arts Centre.
And then it will actually be curated by the people at the Nautilus Arts Centre who've got quite a lot of experience with the many exhibitions that they have there.
Unlike the last exhibition, this year will see no winner, instead providing an opportunity for people across the region to show off their talents.
Entry's free. It's free to people who want to sort of put the artwork in, and then anybody that wants to come and see it. And we'll have a people's choice as well. So, it's always good to have that interaction.
Seniors are encouraged to get their registration forms in, either online or through the centre. The event organiser from Lincoln Grove Retirement Village says all types of art are welcome.
I know people that do sort of sculpture and those sorts of things, so we are expanding it, but yeah, we're expecting to sort of see quite a lot of pictures and that sort of thing too.
The exhibition will run from March 7th to April 1st, so there is still time to enter.
Get your expressions of interest in by the 18th, and yes, you can see your pictures on a gallery wall.
Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. Edward McCarroll will share the highs and lows of weekend sport. And we'll have all the weather details with Alex Sykes. I'll see you again soon. Welcome back. It was a big weekend of sport across the region, with many teams winning in upsets, continuing to shuffle the rankings on league ladders. With all the details, our reporter Edward McCarroll has this week's sports wrap.
Summer softball leagues from across the region continue to heat up, with favourite teams starting to loosen their grip on first place standings and championship hopes. There were upsets in Whyalla this week, with Roadrunners defeating top team Cats 8-4. Errors from Roadrunners costing them vital runs, but their pitcher Bree Ruffset wasn't going down without a fight, dominating the play. The second game saw yet another upset, Indians smashing Eagles 17-11. Maddie Wellgraven shining bright in this game, with 3 safe hits, 3 assists and 1 put out. In Port Pirie, Tigers defeated Checkmates 11-6. The Tigers were consistent in their batting performance, scoring runs in their first 3 innings, also having the advantage with fast runners like Michaela Cox and Chloe Hull. Strong winds plagued the other game, but Solly Cats were still able to beat the Cougars 10-2. In a must-win game, Cougars struggled to get their players on bases, the only safe hit for the team coming from Kiana Pine at the top of the 4th innings. Solly Cats, however, generated some impressive outfield hits. In Port Augusta basketball, Eagles still hold top spot on the ladder, smashing Cobras 62-41. Brady Corbett continuing to be a massive asset for the team. And in the other game, Wildcats managed a win over Titans by a single point. The teams will hit the courts again tonight, with Titans eager to narrow the gap between them and the Eagles. Over to Northwestern Croquet, a new pennant well underway, with Port Pirie and Crystal Brook both looking to gather early wins and control the season from the get-go. In the first match, Mervyn Yarder and Lou James from Port Pirie took 26 hoops to Crystal Brook's 8. However, the second match saw Port Pirie stumble, only collecting 9 hoops, compared to Erica Young and Wilma Hendry from Crystal Brook, who took 26. Crystal Brook's last-ditch effort not enough to pull it back, with the match's combined scores seeing Port Pirie gain 35 hoops, just 1 more than Crystal Brook. That's all for this week's Sports Wrap. If you would like your team's results featured in our bulletin, please let us know through our Facebook page.
Time now to take a look at what's happening in the weather. Here's Alex Sykes.
Thanks, Ruby, and good evening, everyone. A few storms and showers across most of the region today, but it isn't hanging around with the weather clearing up in the second half of the week. At 3 p.m, Port Augusta was 32 degrees, Broken Hill was partly cloudy and 31, and Cleve was 28 degrees. Looking further out across the region now, Whyalla and Woodner were both 31. Port Lincoln and Cleve were both 28, and Port Pirie had a shower or 2 and was 34 degrees. Adelaide was 33, Cooper Pedy was 38. A fire weather warning remains current for the Mount Lofty regions and lower southeast forecast districts. Taking a look at the satellite image now, band of cloud is crossing South Australia with a trough, generating patchy rain and storms. The storms are mainly forming along the western edge of the cloud band, causing isolated heavy showers. Skies are clearing from the west as drying winds develop with a cool change. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, and we'll start with the Gulf waters. Northeasterly winds 15 to 20 knots, seas 1 to 2 metres, and swells south to southwesterly below ½ metre. Port Lincoln will be partly cloudy and 24 degrees. Cleve is set to reach 26, and Woodner will get to a high of 28. Whyalla will be 25. Port Augusta mostly sunny with a high of 29, and Kadina will be partly cloudy with a max of 26 degrees there. Cloud clearing in Port Pirie with 28, Clare to reach 26, and Broken Hill will be mostly sunny with a high of 34 degrees. Taking a look further through the week now, Port Augusta and Kadina both to reach 27 on Thursday. Partly cloudy in Port Lincoln with 23, sunny in Broken Hill and 31, Whyalla 25, cloud clearing in Port Pirie with 29 degrees. Sunny conditions across most of the region on Friday. It will reach 33 degrees in Woodner. Port Augusta and Port Pirie. Cooper Pedy will have a high of 36, Whyalla 28, Kadina 29, cloud clearing in Port Lincoln with 24 degrees. And now for our first peek at the weekend, sunny conditions again on Saturday. Woodner and Cooper Pedy to get to a high of 38, Port Pirie and Broken Hill 36, 37 in Port Augusta, and Port Lincoln will reach 29 degrees. Not a bad forecast for the weekend there at all, Ruby, and the kids will be wanting it after their first full week back at school. And that's all the weather from me for tonight. See you later with an update. It's back to you.
Lovely, thanks for that, Alex. And that's the local news this Tuesday evening. Thanks for joining us. I'll have updates later. Until then, enjoy your evening. We'll be back tomorrow with more local news. Good night.